Today's lecture is based on the microbial flora, the origin of the normal flora or the microbial flora, and what are the relation of the normal flora with the human host and the distribution of the normal flora. So first we have to discuss the objective of this lecture. First one is the origin of the normal flora. It means how they originate after the birth of the healthy host and how they progress their growth inside the human host body. Second one is the normal flora and its relation with the human host. Very important, how the normal flora behave, work for the human host, how they produce benefits to the human host. They all are included in this objective. Third one is the distribution and occurrence of the normal flora. Very important, how they distributed, how they live, and how which region they particularly present in the human host. For example, eye, skin, respiratory tract or the GI tract and other region of the body. So what is the normal flora? Normal flora, when the term normal used, it means there is no harm or it's a usual thing. It means when microorganisms live inside the body or the outside of the human host body, they live normally with the human host. There is no harm to the human host body. So human body is constantly in contact with the myriad of the microorganism in the environment. It means constantly a human or any other animal or any host is constantly exposed with the environment which is full of the microorganism. As we all know, different microorganisms are present in the air, in the water, in the food and other various resources by which we intake or get exposure with these microorganisms. So however, we are in even more intimate contact with the enormous, means there are more microorganisms in our surroundings, so we constantly a very close contact with these microorganisms. So these are the reasons why the normal flora exhibit in the human host body. The bacteria are the most abundant in human body, termed as normal flora or normal microbiota. So among all the microorganisms, फंजाई, यीस्ट, वायरसेस, प्रोटोजोआस, सबसे ज़्यादा जो प्रेजेंट होते हैं ह्यूमन होस्ट के अंदर या नॉर्मल फ्लोरा का सबसे ज़्यादा कॉम्पोजिशन जो होती है वो क्या होती है? बैक्टीरिया आर abundantly present as a normal flora. These microorganisms are harmless, do not cause disease and even beneficial. They are not harming and they are not producing any kind of disease, although they are microorganisms. They are bacteria, but they are useful kind of bacteria, so they are more beneficial with the human host. Some can be opportunistic pathogens due to the resistance of body to infection is decreased. As we all know, the immunity and the defense system of the body resist against the infection. So in case के इम्यूनिटी जो है वो थोड़ी लो हुई हुई है या डाउन हुई हुई है, तो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा? समटाइम these organisms can be the opportunistic one. Opportunistic pathogens means once our immunity is weakened, they can attack to the human host as a pathogen, but usually they produce no harm, no danger to the human host body. Origin of the normal flora, very important, how the normal flora originated, how they accumulated, how they progress their growth. These points will cover in this slide. Bacteria require human by surface contact, swallowing or inhaling. So how we come in contact with the bacteria? Usually by the surface contacts, by the swallowing, it means the food intake, the water intake or any other kind of intake, और उसके बाद inhaling the exchange of the gases. So these are the major contact or the exposing area of the microorganism with the human host body. Microorganisms which find suitable environments either on the outer or inner body surface quickly multiply and establish themselves. So what microorganisms do once they are come in contact with the human host, they find the suitable environment. For example, what is the suitable environment? ये सारा हम फिजिकल एंड केमिकल फैक्टर्स जो हैं वो ये न्यूट्रिशनल फैक्टर्स ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं बैक्टीरियल ग्रोथ में. सो अगर यहाँ पे मैं इसको बिल्कुल सम अप करके रिवाइज आपको पॉइंट दूँ यहाँ पे, फॉर एग्जांपल सम बैक्टीरिया कैन बी एस्टैब्लिश इन alkaline media, some bacteria can be established in acidic media, some bacteria can live in absence of oxygen, some can not live in absence of oxygen. So once they find the suitable environment, either oxygen requirement is present, the moisture is present, the pH requirement is present, they easily find their suitable one and then fastly multiply because वो उनकी favorable condition होती है, and after that they establish themselves either inside the body or outer surface. It means कि skin पे भी present हो सकते हैं और inner cavities के अंदर भी normal flora present हो सकता है. Each body region of the human body have its own environmental condition and particular mixture of microorganisms. Again the similar point, but the difference from the previous point is the mixture of microorganisms. It means there are several kind of different microorganisms live in the suitable particular environment of the human body region. The occurrence is depends on various factors such as washing, diet, hygiene practices and the living condition. Obviously, the normal flora established inside the body or the outside the body, it depends on various factors such as washing. Continuous washing can wash out the bacteria, then the diet pattern and the hygiene, what self-hygiene practice has been in practice, and the living condition, how the host live. So these are points जो हैं वो क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, occurrence को उसकी जो है वो उसके ऊपर depend कर रही है. Normal flora and the human host, actually it's a relation, it's the benefit और mutualism कि किस तरीके से वो दोनों एक दूसरे के साथ सपोर्टिव हैं. क्योंकि एक थॉट ये है कि माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स कैन बी हार्मफुल. सो यहाँ हमें ये पॉइंट देखना है कि व्हाट इज द रिलेशन बिटवीन द फ्लोरा एंड द ह्यूमन होस्ट. सो हाउ दे प्रोड्यूस द बेनिफिट्स टू द ह्यूमन होस्ट. तो फर्स्ट व्हाट इज द क्वेश्चन इन माइंड. जब रिसर्चर्स इसके ऊपर काम कर रहे थे, जब नॉर्मल फ्लोरा ओरिजिनेट नहीं हुआ था, रिवील नहीं हुआ था, तो उस वक्त एक क्वेश्चन था कि what effect does normal flora establish on body. So different approaches have been worked to determine the effectiveness, the beneficial effect of and the good work of the normal flora again towards the human host. So first approach was the use of germ-free animals. Why we use a germ-free and what is the germ-free animal? Actually microbial free, or there is no microorganism in that particular animal. So what they did, they actually produce a grown an animal, a bird which have no microorganism inside and outside. So it was an experimental animal, और जो है वो एक्सपेरिमेंटल मीन्स कि वो लेबोरेटरी के अंदर जो है वो ग्रो किया गया, एंड देयर वर नो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म प्रेजेंट in that animal. So what they did, they compare the germ-free animal with the another animal which have the microbial flora to evaluate the effectiveness of the normal flora. So by this approach, one can compare the functions of normal flora with the germ-free animal and experimental animal with no bacterial flora. So उनके रिजल्ट्स क्या रहे, क्या किस तरीके से उनको जो है वो पता चला कि बेनिफिट्स क्या हैं नॉर्मल फ्लोरा के. सो व्हेन दे कंपेयर्ड द जर्म फ्री एनिमल विद द नॉर्मल फ्लोरा, द जर्म फ्री एनिमल exhibit an underdeveloped immune system, making them unusually susceptible to infection if subsequently exposed to pathogenic bacteria. They also require higher levels of B vitamins than do normal animals, and they require vitamin K, which normal animals do not require. These findings indicate that the normal flora may make a significant contribution to the vitamin requirements of the host. So very important point कि जब कंपैरिजन किया गया तो एक तो इम्यूनिटी वीक थी जर्म फ्री एनिमल की. इट मीन्स कि जो नॉर्मल फ्लोरा के साथ होस्ट मौजूद होता है उसकी इम्यूनिटी भी अच्छी होती है, उसके अंदर वाइटामिन भी मौजूद होते हैं क्योंकि वो बैक्टीरिया उसके लिए वाइटामिन प्रोड्यूस कर रहे होते हैं. द सेकेंड अप्रोच इज द यूज ऑफ एंटीमाइक्रोबियल एजेंट. Such agents alter the normal flora, useful to indicate the effect of normal flora in the body. Once an antimicrobial agent causes the death of the normal flora, the resulted effects were not obtained. और उसकी वजह से क्या होगा कि जो बैक्टीरिया बेनिफिट दे रहा था नॉर्मल फ्लोरा होते हुए वो क्या करेगा, अब वो मौजूद नहीं रहेगा. वंस इट्स नॉट प्रेजेंट तो उसको जो है वो उसकी इम्यूनिटी जो है वो वापस से वीक होना शुरू हो जाएगी. थर्ड अप्रोच इज द करेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ द नॉर्मल फ्लोरा. The nature of normal flora may help to discourage the growth of the microorganisms that are not part of the indigenous flora. It means कि अगर कोई फ्लोरा का पार्ट नहीं है तो जो एक्सटर्नली अटैक करेंगे कोई भी माइक्रोऑर्गेनिजम्स टू गेट द स्पेस और टू स्टार्ट द लिविंग इनसाइड द होस्ट, तो वो उसको डिस्करेज कर देंगे. इट मीन्स वो ग्रो नहीं कर पाएंगे. दैट्स वाई दे बूस्ट द इम्यूनिटी ऑफ द ह्यूमन होस्ट. So overall, what are the conclusion of their relation with the human host? The normal flora और human host किस तरीके से एक अच्छे relation में रह रहे होते हैं? Because the normal flora produces beneficial effects to the towards the human host. Characteristic of normal flora organisms. What are the characteristic? How they work? How they do? How they start their growth, their colonies and all. These we'll discuss in this slide. Many organisms of normal flora have the ability to adhere to the host epithelial cell. किस तरीके से वो अपना काम शुरू करेंगे? जब तक होस्ट को के स्पेस कोई ऐसी ना हो उसके पास या एडहेरेंस ना हो जिसकी वजह से वो उस पर जाके जो है वो स्टिक ऑन ना करे, तो कभी भी जो है वो अपने आप को स्टैब्लिश नहीं कर पाएगा. इट मीन्स इफ एनी माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म जब नॉर्मल फ्लोरा बनने से पहले वो क्या करता है, वो सबसे पहले होस्ट एपिथेलियल पे एडहेयर करता है. इट रिजल्टेड द कॉलोनाइजेशन ऑफ द माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म. कॉलोनाइजेशन इट मीन्स दे स्टार्ट मल्टीप्लाइंग देयर ग्रोथ and start the colonies on the human host surfaces. Adherence occurs as a result of the molecular interaction between the microbial cell surface and the chemical receptors on the body cell. So actually वहाँ पे क्या है, receptors are also present and the interaction between the molecular interaction has been established between the microbial cell which resulted the adherence and sticking of the microorganism to the host epithelial cell. The adherence is facilitated by the proteins or polysaccharides of the microbial cells as well as the fimbriae, the attachment pili. It means the adherence को जो है वो एक रिसेप्टर और वो एक इंटरेक्शन भी सपोर्ट कर रहा है, और अगर उसको मजीद फैसिलिटेट होना है तो देयर आर वेरियस प्रोटीन्स एंड द पॉलीसैकेराइड्स ऑफ द माइक्रोबियल सेल as well as the fimbriae which are the attachment pili. They are the short pili. हमने दो तरह के pili पढ़े थे. Fimbriae जो है वो attachment pili होते हैं. These are also help in the forming of colonization and the biofilms. So attachment pili के थ्रू जो है वो adherence और strong हो जाती है बैक्टीरियाज की और द माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स की. एडहेरेंस ऑफ माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म इज स्पेसिफिक टुवर्ड्स बॉडी साइड. इट मींस कि हर बॉडी रीजन के अंदर जो भी स्पेसिफिक कैपेसिटी होगी उसी. अगर यहाँ पे इस पॉइंट को मैं मजीद एलैबोरेट कर दूँ कि इन केस देयर आर सम structure which flushes the bacteria, then it's difficult for the bacteria to adhere. So if particular site is facilitating or is favorable for the attachment or the adherence of the bacteria, then they do the adherence. For example, adherence को हम किस तरह से बताएंगे, मैंने अभी आपको बताया कि what are the specific sites of the adherence. Step 2, coccus. Salivarians adhere mainly to the surface of tongue because it facilitated its adherence on the tongue surface. And another example is Streptococcus mutans selectively adhere to the smooth surface of the teeth. हालांकि दोनों oral cavity में मौजूद हैं, but their attachment sites are different. The organism can be detached from the host epithelial cells. Easily they can detach as they adhere. They easily remove from the bacterial surface. The production of the antimicrobial substances very important. जैसे कि immunity को boost करते हैं, बिल्कुल उस तरीके से various microorganisms are producing the antimicrobial substances. These substances effectively use against various pathogens and resulted the decline of their growth. So in some instances, normal flora is capable of producing metabolic products or other agents that can inhibit other microbes. For example, in large bowel, certain anaerobic bacteria produce various organic acids, for example, acetic, lactic or butyric acid. What the acid do? They actually inhibit various bacterial growths due to their acidic action. और बहुत सारे ऐसे बैक्टीरियाज होते हैं जो एसिडिक एनवायरनमेंट में सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाते. Some strains of staphylococci producing antibiotics that inhibit wide variety of the bacteria. So the another example of the staphylococci. So इस तरह से क्या हो रहा है, एक antimicrobial effect जो है वो generate हो रहा है either by the production of antibiotics or the production of the different kind of acids. And then again the third objective is coming up in these slides. The distribution and the occurrence of the normal flora. So in which body parts they are usually present? First one, the bacteria make up most of the normal flora of the human body. सबसे ज़्यादा जो abundantly present होते हैं वो bacteria होते हैं. The body regions where the bacterial flora exist are following. First, skin, eye, respiratory tract, mouth or the oral cavity, intestinal tract and the genitourinary tract. So these are the major parts or the major regions of the human host body where the microbial flora can exist. So one by one we will discuss the different region, what are the microorganisms are present and how they produce various benefits to the human host. So first of all, the skin. Skin is composed of the epidermis, connective tissues layer and the dermis. Actually the structure जिसके अंदर जो है वो protective layer है, साथ साथ हमारे पास connective tissues layer है, dermis है. The outermost layer of skin is not allowed the bacteria to penetrate. However, the burns, cuts, abrasion can allow bacteria to penetrate. अगर कोई स्किन पे कट नहीं है, कोई ओपनिंग नहीं है, तो इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर द बैक्टीरिया टू एडहेयर और टू पेनिट्रेट इन द स्किन. वो स्किन पे आके तो स्टिक हो जाएगा बट इट कैन बी पेनिट्रेट इनसाइड द स्किन. सो एक्चुअली बर्न्स, कट्स और एब्रेशन यानी कोई भी जख्म या वूंड वगैरह होगा तो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा, या कोई भी ब्रॉइल्स वगैरह होंगे या आपके पास कोई भी छलका या कोई भी एनी काइंड ऑफ कट or any kind of wound allows the bacteria to penetrate inside. So in case there is some cut, we have to carefully bandage or cover the particular part to avoid the bacterial contamination. So next is the skin surface is hostile to survival and growth of many kinds of bacteria because the moisture, the air, oxygen is present, so favorable and skin ka environment. Several factors are responsible for discouraging skin colonization such as dryness, low pH and inhibitory substances. So in case if there is dry skin and there moisture, low moisture and there is low pH or the acidic pH and some inhibitory material, for example alcohol and the other sanitization thing, so they resulted the inhibition of the bacterial growth. Microbial flora of skin actually is Staphylococcus epidermis, aerobic Corynebacteria, and anaerobic bacteria that are the Propionibacterium acnes. So these are the various microbial flora of the skin, which include the gram-positive and the gram-negative bacteria. So this is the skin structure, in which we have the epidermis, the dermis, the fat areas. These are the follicular structure. These are the hairs. As you see, epidermis are the gram-negative cocci, and these acnes are the gram-positive, which are present. They are the sebaceous glands. Next slide is indicated the various organisms. Gram-positive cocci. We have also gram-negative bacilli. This is the division: epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous, connective tissues, soil organisms, Propionibacterium acnes, यहाँ पे follicle के पास, but they are not the acnes. अभी हम इसको आगे डिस्कस भी करेंगे कि what are the acnes. Diphtheroids, ये आप देख रहे हैं, sweat gland, Staphylococcus aureus यहाँ पे मौजूद है. इसी वजह से if immunity is weak, so these organisms can causes different acne issues, different abrasions issues on the skin. So these all are the gram-positive and gram-negative pathogens. Microbial flora which exist. Propionibacterium acnes and the acne vulgaris both have the term acnes, but what actually is the acne cause is the acne vulgaris. Acne vulgaris is actually a disease of the sebaceous gland of the skin, a distension of the gland caused by the accumulation of sebum, the fluid secreted by the gland, hair, and bacteria known as the comedones. The comedones can develop to an inflammatory region, जबकि Propionibacterium acnes क्या है, ये normal flora है, and acne vulgaris is a disease condition. So don't be confused between these two. Then next is the microbial flora of eye. Lining of eyelids and the covering the eyeball is a delicate membrane called the conjunctiva, जिसकी inflammation को जो है conjunctivitis कहा जाता है. This membrane is continuously washed by a flow fluid that are the tears. So continuously washing क्या कर रहा है, adherence of bacteria को जो है वो inhibit कर रहा है. Normal flora ही सिर्फ यहाँ पे मौजूद है. Tear remove microorganism lysozymes is secreted in tears. So these are the inhibitory substances. The main organism found are S. epidermidis, S. aureus, Corynebacterium species, Streptococcus pneumoniae, Neisseria species, Moraxilla species, and the Haemophilus influenza. So these are the microbial flora of the eye which produce the effect and benefit to the eye. So next are the microbial flora of the respiratory tract. Although respiratory tract has more moist skin, but the mucous membrane actually resist or giving resistance to the different microorganism to adhere or to colonize in the respiratory tract. Microorganism passes along the nasal baffles and nasopharynx. Nasal or रूट के थ्रू और नेसोफेरिंग्स के थ्रू जो है वो इनसाइड रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक की तरफ मूव करना शुरू करते हैं. इट इज लाइकली दैट द माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म विल impinge on and stick on to the thin moist layer of the highly viscous mucus, because mucus is has the ability to adhere things, but the rhythmic beating of the cilia continue again the inhibitory effect or the attachment site or the favorable site. Cilia actually continuously क्या कर रहे हैं, flow कर रहे हैं. These flow remove the bacteria और द मूवमेंट जो एक्चुअली वो उसके अंदर हो रही है, जिसके वजह से बैक्टीरिया भी रिमूव हो जा रहा है. द माइक्रोबियल फ्लोरा इंक्लूडेड एस एपिडर्माइडस एंड एस ऑरियस इन नोज, इन नेजोफेरिन एस pneumonia and other alpha hemolytic streptococci. So these are the various microbial flora that exist in the respiratory tract of the human host. So these all actually exist and inhibit the growth of other pathogens which can be exposed by the environment. So this is the diagram. As you can see, the nose and the nasopharynx. These organisms are present: Staphylococcus aureus, SS, epidermidis, Branhamella, Catarrhalis, and Haemophilus influenzae. And in oropharynx, this region, which is near to the trachea and the lungs, the organism are S. aureus, S. epidermidis, diphtheroids, P. catarrhalis, Haemophilus species, and the pneumococci. So these are the respiratory tract microbial flora. Again, a very clear GI tract distribution of the microbial flora. In stomach, very low microorganisms, and there are lactobacillus, enterococci, candida albicans, and the anaerobes in the vaginal region. This is the vaginal region, and these are the GI tract species of bacteroids, Fusobacterium, Clostridium, Lactobacillus, Escherichia, Proteans, Klebsiella, Enterobacter. These are all present in GI tract. So this is the overall diagram of a human host which colonized with various microbial floras indicated in this diagram. Acquisition of the oral flora, very important. The hygiene is very important, the cleaning and the washing is very important. Otherwise, mouth is the basic source of the intake, so it has to be clean, it has to be clear, it has to be free from the various harmful bacterium. So in oral flora, how the oral flora colonize different microbial normal flora. At birth, the oral cavity is essentially a sterile, warm and moist incubator containing a variety of nutritional substance. So at time of birth, there is no microorganism inside the mouth. The normal flora of the oral cavity is predominated by genera Streptococcus, Neisseria, Veillonella, Actinomyces, and the Lactobacillus yeast are also present. Most microorganisms in mouth are aerobes or the facultative anaerobes. What are the aerobes? Which require the oxygen to their life, and the facultative anaerobes which can live in the presence or the absence of the oxygen. The teeth themselves can be microbial adherence area with Streptococcus mutans associated with the dental caries. Very important that how the microbial flora can affect or can cause a tooth decay leading by the different dental caries and the plaque. So it's very important to understand that how the different food intake can cause this effect. So it has to be dental caries and plaque which caused by the confectionery sugar. So the teeth themselves can become areas of the microbial adherence by the Streptococcus mutans, which is associated with the tooth surface and appear to be the major etiological causative agent of the dental caries or tooth decay. S mutans produces a highly branched extracellular glucan, a polymer of the glucose that acts like a cement which binds the bacterial cell together as well as causing them to adhere to the tooth surface. This glucan is formed only in the presence of disaccharide sucrose, that is the glucose 1-fructose, the type of sugar found in confectionaries और द कन्फेक्शन इट मीन जो कन्फेक्शनरी शुगर्स जेलीज और टॉफी होती हैं उसके अंदर ये तमाम चीज़ें जो है वो मौजूद होती हैं बाय मीन्स ऑफ एन एंजाइम कॉल्ड ग्लाइकोसाइल ट्रांसफरेज. This enzyme, the glycosyl transferase, actually located on the surface of the cocci. The reaction catalyzed by the enzyme is as follows. So it means हमारे पास sucrose कन्फेक्शनरी शुगर कन्वर्ट हो रही है और ये एंजाइम जो है वो किसके अंदर प्रेजेंट है स्ट्रेप्टोकोकस म्यूटेंस में, जिसकी वजह से वो कंटिन्यूसली जो है वो इसको एक सीमेंट के तौर पे जो है वो एक समझो कैरी शुरू होती है फिर प्लैक और एक हार्ड उसको साफ करवाना पड़ता है ये तमाम चीज़ें. सो डेंटल कैरीज फर्स्ट हैं फिर उसके बाद वो प्लैक और फिर बुद्धि के जो है वो स्टार्ट हो जाता है. लैक्टोबैसिलस एंड एक्टिनोमाइसिस स्पीशीज कैन कंट्रीब्यूट टू कैरीज एज ए सेकेंडरी इन्वेडर्स. अगर पहले स्ट्रेप्टोकोकस म्यूटेंस ने जो है वहाँ पे डेंटल कैरीज शुरू कर दी हैं तो क्या होगा लैक्टोबैसिलस एक्टिनोमाइसिस स्पीशीज अगर वहाँ पे माउथ के अंदर जो है एक्सपोज होंगी तो ये लीड करेंगी प्लैक को. अ डेंटल प्लैक कंटेन्स अ वेरी हाई नंबर ऑफ द बैक्टीरिया अबाउट 108 सेल्स पर मिलीग्राम. सो कितना डुप्लीके जो है वो कॉज होगा. Normal flora of the intestinal tract. Stomach constantly receives numerous bacteria from the oral cavity. Continuously जो है वो bacteria आ रहे होते हैं but the stomach which contain the acidic pH or the acid production actually discourage the growth of the bacteria and it contain less than a 10 bacteria per ml. Few organisms found are mainly lactobacillus and yeast such as Candida species which can survive in the stomach. The decreased number of organisms is due to the gastric juice and the pH of the stomach fluid which drops and discourage the growth of various microorganisms. So gut microflora. In humans, the gut microbiota has the largest number of the bacteria and the greatest number of the species compared to the other areas of the body. In humans, the gut flora is established at 1 or 2 years after birth. ये फौरी तौर पे शुरू नहीं होता. It started after a year or two after of the birth, by which the time intestinal epithelium and the intestinal mucosal barrier that is secreted have co-developed in a way that they are tolerant to and even supportive of the gut flora. So actually slowly they grow, they colonize and they produce the benefits to the human host and they are the barrier to the pathogenic microorganisms. ठीक है. The relationship between some gut flora and humans are not merely commensal, a non-harmful coexistence, but rather a mutualistic relationship. Some humans gut microorganisms benefit the host by fermenting the dietary fiber into short-chain fatty acids such as acetic acid and the butyric acid, which are then absorbed by the host. So actually they convert the fibers into the short-chain fatty acid. The gut normal flora also play a role in synthesizing the vitamin B and vitamin K as well as the metabolizing bile acids, sterols and the xenobiotics. The systemic importance of short chain fatty acid and other compounds they produce are like hormones, and the gut flora itself appears to function like endocrine organs, and gut flora correlate with the inflammatory or autoimmune condition, and they support the various disorders of the inflammation and autoimmune conditions. The composition of human gut microbiota changes over time. It means they continuously change with the passage of time, and different strains जो हैं वो change होती चली जाती हैं और colonize होती चली जाती हैं. Which bacteria are commonly found in the human colon? These are all various species or the microorganisms which are present. These are the bacteroids fragilis, bacteroids melangionicus, bacteroids oralis, enterococcus, facilis, escherichia coli, enterobacter species Klebsiella. These are all lactobacillus present, Staphylococcus aureus in the GI tract. So the last and the very important for is the genitourinary tract. Most important for the females, but for the male gender also. In healthy persons, kidney, urinary bladder and uterus are free of the microorganism. However, bacteria are commonly found in lower portion of the urethra. Only the exposed area with the environment is of the genitourinary tract is the urethra. So there is a chance that some of the microorganisms expose with this part of the system. As epidermidis, streptococcus facilis and cyanobacteria are found frequently, Neisseria and the members of Enterobacteriaceae are occasionally present. The lower number of microorganisms near bladder is due to the antibacterial effect of the urethral mucosa and frequent flushing of urethral epithelium by the urine. What actually exists is the urine production is continuously flushing through mucosa and the epithelium, which resulted the lower number of microorganisms, and it actually saved the urinary system. So it is advised by the or suggested by the physicians to intake more quantity of water, so the more urine is produced and flushed the bacteria from the body. Normal flora of the female genital tract. The adult female genital tract has a very complex and normal flora. Lactobacilli are main habitat. They break glycogen and form lactic acid, decreasing the pH 4.4 to 4.6. तो एक्चुअली क्या हो रहा है, लैक्टोबैसिलाई जो है वो ग्लाइकोजन को ब्रेक कर रहे हैं और लैक्टिक एसिड फॉर्म कर रहे हैं. लैक्टिक एसिड क्या कर रहा है, पीएच को कम कर रहा है एंड discourage कर रहा है various bacterial growth. Only those microorganisms survive capable of multiplying in acidic pH included enterococci, diphtheroids, yeast, C. albicans and large number of the anaerobic bacteria. So the acidic media actually protect the female genital tract. What are the learning outcomes of this lecture and this topic? First one, you are able to understand the normal flora and the host relation, what are different approaches and how they affect, they are useful, they are beneficial. Normal flora benefiting the host by production of vitamins. They also boost the immunity, they also discourage the growth of different other pathogens जो कि normal flora के अलावा हैं, and they actually produce some vitamins or immunity booster to protect or to provide some benefits and the beneficial effects to the human host. Distribution of various microorganisms in skin, eye, respiratory tract, mouth, intestinal tract and the genitourinary tract. Very important. What are the microorganisms? As we discussed, the various microorganisms and the species which are present in skin, genitourinary tract, respiratory tract, GI tract, eye and other respiratory tract and other region of the body, and they how they protected, how they boosted the immunity, how they produce different required vitamins to the body, and how they boosted the immunity of the human whose body and provide various benefits which are not produced by any other microorganism. So this is all about the microbial flora or the normal microbiota of the human host. If you have any question, any query, you can ask in the comment section. Thank you so much.